former friend of First Lady Melania Trump continues to proudly spill the tea. In an interview with the Daily Beast, Stephanie Winston Wolkoff says says that she first began to see Melania Trump for who she was after she allowed her to take the blame for some election scandals. So now this is funny because there's real funny timing about this. Like, oh my God, I didn't realize Melania was such a terrible person until she did me dirty. No, really? Oh, well, that's really interesting. Tell me more about this. Okay, but anyway, so now in that scandal, by the way, Wolkoff personally pocketed about $1.6 million from the Trump inauguration. So, and that's at least, okay? And she was accused of actually pocketing a lot more, which, let's be honest, a lot of people pocketed a lot of money during this inauguration, okay? So understand though, for the context here, we're not dealing with people that are good on either side here. There are no good people on both sides. They're all terrible, awful people. Okay, so there you go. But see, the importance here of talking about this is there is this perception among libs that Melania is a poor trophy wife. Oh, she didn't want to get into this politics thing. All she wanted to do was just sit there and collect the monies for after Donald Trump dies. And she's going to take over the monies and it's going to, she's going to live a good, happy life off what little fortune Donald Trump has left. And she's not like Trump. She's not ruthless. No. Not a terrible person. She's just, she's trapped in a bad marriage. Perhaps, stay with me here, perhaps she is both a terrible person and is trapped in a bad marriage. I know, both can be true. Both can be true. All right. But anyway, back to Winston Wolkoff. Okay. She said, quote, I begged her to just come out and say that I was her friend. I was loyal. Now understand, to a Trump, loyalty is the most important thing to them, okay? And so the response was, nope, nothing. Of course, because if to a Trump, if you don't have use, if you're not a useful person, and if you're not 100% loyal, well then, again, they've got no use for you. You're garbage. You were discarded. And so she says, the pain of that, the betrayal, I gave up my whole life for this woman. I should have known better. She's just like her husband. Look, it takes a certain kind of person to be around the Trump family, okay? To be around Donald Trump, to have sex with Donald Trump. I know, get the brain bleach, please. Forget about taking the bleach for coronavirus. Just put it directly, apply it into your eyeballs, okay, for just a second, all right? We all heard the stories from Stormy Daniels. We all know exactly what they're dealing with down, in that situation, okay? We're not going to go there. Not going to go there. And I don't want to get into, speaking of, now I want to go to, I don't want to get into, anti-feminist tropes or anything like that, right? But like the gold digger, okay? Because I think that's a good allegory here. It's a good thing to use. Like she a gold digger. Melania, definitely a gold digger. All right? Except the problem is she's really bad at it. She ended up with the world's worst businessman. Terrible. And then, of course, she ends up getting dragged into politics, which I'm sure she wasn't happy about. But like any Trump, when you're cast into the swamp, she adapted very well to her conditions. Because she is, again, a swamp monster along with it. In fact, Wolkoff then tells a story about how Melania had relished wearing her infamous "I really don't care" jacket to a visit with migrant children who had been separated from their parents. She says, reportedly, "I'm driving liberals crazy, that's for sure, and they deserve it." We're talking about migrant children here, okay? Migrant children being separated from their families, okay? And so, look, did Obama did something similar? He didn't have a separation policy. Did separations happen under Obama? Yes. Did caging children happen under Obama? Yes, it did. To the extent of which Donald Trump had done it? No. And so I think that's fair to point out those differences. Okay? Still bad when it comes to both. One is arguably worse. So that said, these kids whose parents brought them here for a chance at a better life, and I think we all deserve a chance at a better life, okay? We deserve a chance at the American dream, all right? Well, what did we do when they came here? Well, under Trump, we separated them from their parents, many of them of which have not been reunited, may never be reunited. And even in the situations where they might be reunited or have been reunited, there's been emotional trauma, as well as deportations. That emotional trauma is not being treated. And so, yeah, again, you've got a lot of families that end up getting sent back to other countries to which they had fled, and there's a good chance they may not survive. So to go in and wearing that jacket to antagonize people, and then to enjoy the fallout and say, oh, yeah, this triggered the libs, that's especially sick. All right, but 100% on brand for Trumpism. Again, Donald Trump, the Trump family considers emotion weakness. They think that caring about other human beings is pathetic, it's sad, and that the only thing that matters is perception of them by the public. Now, the adoration of their fans, which in this case involves a group of people that are very easy to please and easier to exploit. Now, understand, like, lefties, we demand certain things. We expect certain things from our leadership. Okay, lefties, for you to stand for certain things, to make certain stances of things. All right? And of course, those things are good things. Those things are good goals. Okay? The right is different because their ideology is reactionary. They want to own the libs. Okay? It is much easier to upset people on the left. And I've seen this, and you all have seen this. It's very easy to upset us lefties. I mean, conservatives are sort of right. We're pretty easy to trigger, all right? It's easy to trigger the libs because, well, all you have to do is present us with massive injustice. And there's a lot of injustice in this world. You point that out, guess what? We're pissed off, we've got energy, we're ready to fight. Okay, and a lot of times, unfortunately, we end up fighting each other. And that sucks. And we should really try to avoid doing that with people that we agree with 95% of on the issues. All right, that said, right, we have higher standards for people than many on the right, many leaders on the right. So for grifters, it's much easier to target right-wing people. And that's not saying that grifters don't exist on the left. They absolutely do. And the common thread there is, of course, the exploitation of anger. The right is perpetually angry and fearful, so they're very easy to exploit. There's a section of the left that's also very angry and fearful as well, and I understand that. And understand, like, there's a common thread there as well, socioeconomic issues, okay? But the differences on that is that they deal with this differently. Right-wing grifters use anger and fear to attack minorities and people who are not in power. Very, very pro-fascist stuff, okay? On the left, that anger is directed towards centers of power, congressional, just Congress in general, elected officials, etc. Centers of power. And so that's different. And in that sense, the Trumps are the grifters, okay? Wolkoff, also a grifter. And you also can look at groups like the Lincoln Project, grifters. And so now the grifters, like the Lincoln Project are grifting the left when it comes to anger and fear against the person that's currently in power, that's President Donald Trump. But the Trumps, of course, grift on their base. Rudy Giuliani, I showed you an ad where Rudy Giuliani is literally selling gold coins and cigars. Jim Baker's another great example, selling his apocalypse food buckets and all that different stuff. You go on the right, there's constant grifting. And of course, it has to do with the fears of the end of the world and the liberals coming to take your stuff, coming to take your guns. They're doing all this stuff, right? They're gonna take your religion. They're gonna destroy you and your family. They're gonna take your, kids and make them gay and trans and turn them against you and turn them against God and Jesus. All that stuff is what the right wing does. And so it's very easy to make things up in order to grift that audience. But it's personal for Wolkoff, going back to her, right? Because she was personally dumped by Melania. And yet, despite all that, that doesn't make anything that she's saying any less true. And so it is interesting to see her spill the tea on this and expose, of course, the Trumps for what we always knew them to be, but nonetheless is important for everyone to know. As if we're going to really change any minds by this, but still, at least it's out there. The information is there if you want it. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.